It was in 1987 when we found the house sitting alone and abandoned in the middle of an industrial park. The only reason it wasn't already demolished was the company owner did not want to spend money and was glad to have us take it away for free. The company had let employees rent the house, and the last one just walked away, leaving even the furniture and all his garbage. The first thing we had to do was cut a path between the debris and the undergrowth that had shut the house off from the outside world. We uncovered a later summer kitchen and garage attached to the rear of the house. We demolished these, saving what materials we could for a later reuse. As we took the summer kitchen apart, the logs of the main house were exposed for the first time in 2 centuries. The exterior of the house had been covered in Victorian wood siding and finally in asphalt shingles. As we pulled those away, the true age of the house started to be revealed. The original interior was also covered in layers of wallpaper, cheap paneling, and Victorian-era lath and plaster. As those were peeled away, we felt like archaeologists going deeper into the past. The house was a time capsule. We found original 18th century hand-planed wall boards, as well as interior walls of timber framing filled with handmade bricks, some of which had paw prints made by cats on the still soft clay before they were fired. Even the original staircases remained, first trod by Moravians in the 1750s. Upstairs, we looked into a closet only to notice signs of an original fireplace showing through the wallpaper. Once all the later additions were removed, the fireplace stood revealed. On the first floor, the original kitchen fireplace was entirely hidden by wall paneling. A circular hole in the side of the fireplace showed it originally had a bake oven to one side. Between the log walls, the Moravian builders had used limestone with mortar for the chinking. The use of lime to point the stones indicated the log walls were originally exposed. We had to begin dismantling the house for its move to Schuylkill County. The interior brick walls, the stone chinking, the slate roof, even the hand-split lath and plaster ceiling, all had to be removed and carried by the truckload 85 miles to its new home. Finally, we were ready for the move itself. We hired a logging truck and its operator, who used a crane and lifted the numbered logs off the house and placed them on his truck. Some of the oak logs were 32 feet long. It took 2 days to remove all the logs and bring them in several trips to the Hermitage. Finally, only the chimney, fireplace, and the first floor joists were still in place. We pulled the chimney over and saved all the bricks that weren't broken. At last, everything was gone except the foundation, with its central arch that had supported the 3-story chimney with its thousands of bricks, and that's still there today. We bought the 63 acres of the Hermitage in 1988. In the beginning, there was the barn, and only the barn. It's where we lived for 1.5 years. We started digging out the cellar hole with a pickaxe, but didn't get very far into the frozen soil, and eventually hired a backhoe to finish it. We also decided to delay putting up the Nain house until we had built some smaller buildings first. This would give us practice and experience while getting us out of the barn. Then we were finally ready to get back to the Nain house. We had already constructed the cellar and built a massive support for the fireplace and chimney. Next, we laid out all the logs, beams, and joists, some of which had started to decay badly during the 6 years they had laid unprotected on the ground. Still, we were determined that it would be 2 full floors, exactly as when we found it. Ready for the lift, we hired the same logging man to put the house up who had taken it down in Bethlehem. Finally, it was back up, and there it stayed for more months as we worked on the fireplace and other projects. Then we noticed something terrible was happening. The rotted logs started giving way, and the entire house leaned and swayed. It was obvious that this house could not be restored exactly the way it had been, and that we had, at most, slightly more than the first story. Once again, we called the logging man, this time to take the house down to the first floor, and finally we had the house ready, except for the roof. We decided to put on a massive, peaked, Germanic-style roof that contained a second floor and a high garret. Yet none of the original rafters could fit the new higher roof line. We found some long barn rafters at yet another site and made new rafters as well. We put porches on front and back and found bricks from 3 different houses to put into the reconstructed chimney. Realizing that we needed help with the slate shingles, we hired help from a team of Amish carpenters from the next valley. They finished the roof in a fraction of the time we would have taken. All that remained to do was cleaning up the huge amount of leftover material and then painting the house, which was finally ready for use as our own community house.